Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Judgement Day with me, Marc Cairney, here on the Bhoycie Bus. The time of week when we get to answer questions sent in by yourselves over from the community page or anywhere dotted along the channel. We'll find the questions and we'll get them answered for you as best we can. So this is absolutely the first take we've made of this. Don't anybody tell you that Bhoycie made an arse and didn't put the questions up. So the first one we've got is from Mark E. Would you prefer seasons running as they do just now, summer football or year-round football with more frequent shorter breaks? It's a good question, Mark. It comes up every summertime and every winter time. Summertime it comes up because a lot of fans like to go to the Celtic games and go in the nice weather. There seems to be a bigger crowd, etc. But in the winter time, folk don't like getting out their house in the winter and the snowy weather and dangerous conditions. I understand the clamour to get Celtic playing at times that it suits the fans better because it would mean bigger crowds, a better spectacle. But no, I don't think you can unalign yourself with the rest of Europe. I mean, the big leagues like England, Italy, Spain, Germany, they all play at one time a year. The Scandinavian teams that day as well, and they tend to do no too bad in Europe. But I think Scottish football is seen as a wee bit of a backwater, and for us to carry on and progress, I think we need to align ourselves with the very best European football. I don't think we should kind of ostracise ourselves or make ourselves any different than what we are just now. I think it impacts on players as well because although the World Cups can be held in different times of years and all the rest of it, sometimes it can be held in December as we've just seen. I think European-based football teams, football players, they want to come to leagues where they can play summer have a wee 5-6 week holiday if they can, then break into their new season, and that gets interrupted when they've got qualifiers and international games. So I think the best players tend to play in the better leagues, not just for the money, because it also helps their chances of getting international football. I don't think Celtic's European progress would become any better by playing in winter either, by playing in summertime either. Having that big break, I don't think it's good for a team like Celtic. Now, we've been stung before by playing teams who have had 5, 6 weeks, 7 weeks breaks after January. We've picked them up in February, thinking, well, this team's got to be rusty, and they've come out and beat us. I don't know if that's an anomaly with Celtic or whether these teams just are used to it by this stage. But I just don't think Celtic or any Scottish team should be pushing for the league to be changed. I prefer the fact that we start off end of July like last season and finish up in May. I think that's a decent season. You know, it's no all winter months. You do get quite a lot of games where you're playing and it's still daylight by the time the game finishes. It's not always a case of playing in dark nights and it's been freezing. It just feels that way. More so December and January. I think what we've got within our powers is to make the windows, make the actual winter breaks suit ourselves. Like for instance, I don't think there's anything wrong with playing a game on Christmas Eve and finishing up for 4 weeks. I'd miss the football, I really would. I think it's like Christmas time's a time of year where I like to break up the monotony of just Christmas and New Year by having a couple of Celtic games. That kind of breaks up for me. But no, I think Mark, that when we're trying to play with the big boys, we've got to play with the big boys in all ways possible. We can't compete with them on the park, we all know that. But one thing we can do is try and match them in terms of when they play football. We can use the same transfer windows as they do and hope that at the very least we make some ground up them eventually, especially in Europe. And I think to do that, you need to play football at the same time of year as them, keep your fitness up and all the rest of it. And for me, that's the way I want to keep it. Thanks for your question, Mark. Next up is Alistair Nichol. Hi, Alistair. Hope you're doing well, mate. With the core of the team having had a second season together, where do you think we need to strengthen this summer? It pains me to say this, Alistair, but I think we need a goalkeeper that might be able to play that sweeper keeper a bit better than Joe Hart. I mean, Joe Hart's proven. I mean, the last 5-6 games, he's still a top class goalkeeper. There's been moments in each match where he's stood up and he's made big saves. I mean, the goal we lost the other day there was his first goal in about 550 minutes or so. I think it was roughly 6 games that went without losing a match and without losing a goal, and that's a great record. Even in Scotland, when we're not having a lot of chances created against us, only takes one breakaway or one lapse in concentration, as we've seen on the weekend there, that you can lose a goal so quickly. I think that's a position that I think Ange will want to strengthen. For me, I think Joe Hart's got another season in him, but I think Ange will want to see the goalkeeping position move up another rung on the ladder, and I think Joe Hart might just fall by the wayside. I hope no. I think he's capable of his one more season, but he's one that I think we need upgrading on, should I say. I think right winger. I think Jota can play right wing. We all know he can. Haksabanovic does a really good job there, and Abada, more of an inverted winger, is what I like to call him, somebody who plays in between, kind of plays one in. But I think we need somebody with a bit more strength, somebody who's capable of getting by players and getting to the byline a bit more often. But Abada does do it, but he's very hot and cold. That could be his age. But for the here and now, I think we have to upgrade on him. I think Abada is going to be an excellent piece of business by the club. I think we'll make a lot of money on him. He'll score a lot of goals in Scotland. He'll get a lot of assists. But if he want to progress, I think in Europe and even domestically, to keep teams further away as possible, as far away as possible, I think you need to kind of upgrade these positions, especially right wing, because we've all seen like Haksabanovic has got injuries in him. We all know that Abada's got an injury or two in him, and you can't leave somebody like James Forrest as your backup. Now, we've all seen recently, like, we've got Jota and Maeda playing in the same team, and I like it. It's something that I didn't think I would like, but I think you've got to play the best players in the best positions. We all know that Jota's best position is on the left, but so is Maeda's. So it looks like it could be horses for courses for the two certain games. One will get a nod on the left-hand side and the other one will need to go on the right. And they switch over, which is quite frustrating for the defenders to try and keep up with them, because they don't know what's happening next when they're switching all the time. And I like how Celtic kind of vary their play that way, and it must be a fucking nightmare to play against. I think that's a position we have to strengthen on. I still think we need a striker. I think Giakoumakis leaves a gap. I mean, looking at his age, he's done 2 years of military service. So he's probably not got as much game time under his belt as what a second choice or your B choice striker we should have at Celtic. We're reading guys that have played maybe 100, 150 games at a decent level. This guy might just be a case of coming in and just slowly integrating the guy into the Celtic way. And I think Ange Postecoglou has got a brilliant strike when it comes to signings. They've all been more or less, every one of them has been what we expected, and more so in a lot of cases. Moy being a great example. But I think when you've got a striker like Kyogo who's on form, he's on fire, he's looking as good as he's ever looked. But we all know he can be a bit injury prone. I don't want to jinx that by saying that, but we can't be relying on a second choice or a very vastly inexperienced striker to carry us in Europe or even carry us to a title. Giakoumakis did a great job last season of deputising, and he came in and he was pivotal. He was winning the league last year. I don't think you can put all that on a young boy for South Korea. I could be wrong there, but I think that's a place we definitely need to strengthen on, mate. I think the Celtic board will have a list of targets that Ange and the scouting departments have gave them for the summertime already. I'm pretty sure work's probably been started already the minute the window closed at the end of January there. And I think a striker will be on that list. Even if O turns out to be the player we all hope he is, I still don't think 2 is enough, because what we've seen is in large spells last season that sometimes if you're unlucky, you can have 2 players out at one time. I mean, we can have 4 centre-back options, we can have 3 goalkeeper options, we can have 4 or 5 winger options, the way it works out with Jota, Maeda, Abada, Forrest, Haksabanovic, can all play both wings. But it seems to be a stumbling block with a lot of Celtic fans that 2 strikers is too much. Even the thought of having 3 strikers just turns their hair white, and I don't think that's true. I think Brendan Rodgers says that keeping 3 strikers happy is difficult. I don't want a striker to come in and be happy by being third choice. I want a striker to come in and be totally fixated on being number 1. That's good for squad depth. It increases the training. They'll be frustrated that they're not getting a game. We saw that with Jackie Marcus, and sometimes players can chat the door and get the wrong answer and move on. But for me, that's their problem. I think Celtic should keep buy. Every player they buy should be of the mindset that they could be number one at one point, and we can't be buying players and saying, okay, two's enough because we can't afford a third personality in that position. That's not how it works in football. If you've got a player that's willing to come to Celtic, they're either going to be fit for the challenge or not fit for the challenge. And if they're not fit for the challenge, I don't want them. But if they're fit for the challenge, bring them in and let's see what they can do. And that's a position I would definitely feel like is one that even Ange, I think, will pursue in the summertime. Well, at least I hope he will, Alistair. Thanks for your question, mate. Next up, I've got James Maguire. Hi, James. Hope you're doing well, mate. Under Ange, can Celtic beat these records? Most goals in a season, 105. Most points in a season, 103. And most wins in a season, 33. Now, I actually took a wee note here of, so we've got 70 points with 13 games to go. That's 108 points, if my maths are correct. So we can certainly beat the points record. Goals, we've got 78 goals, which is 27 more. We need to beat that record, and we've got 23 wins. So we need 10 wins out of our last 15 matches. So all those goals are absolutely ones we can beat under this Ange team. My concern would be if we win the league with 4 or 5 games to go and standards drop, players start to get rested, and then the hunger isn't there to score 5 and 6 a game. Although it can go the other way, and you can get players coming in who've not had a chance yet and want to prove their worth and try and lay a marker for the following season. I think they're all. I think the goal scoring one in particular, I think Celtic after game 25 are averaging something like over 3 goals a game. I mean, that's mind-boggling. That's for after 10 games to be averaging 3 goals a game is a fantastic record, but to be 3/4 of the way through the season and still averaging that is unbelievable. Considering we've only dropped points in 2 games this season, I think it's more than likely that it's more than a goal. It should be an expectation within the dressing room that these things can be achieved should they push for it. I think so. In terms of the most wins, I think if my maths are right, Celtic need 10 wins out of the next 13 games. So I think that's achievable. I really do. Again, it would just come down to when we win the league. If we win the league with 5 games to go, do we shop and send some players for a wee early holiday? Do we relax? Under Ange, I probably don't see it. I think I can see him pushing to maximise his legacy at Celtic. He'll see these records. I know Ange and sits in press conferences and would bat off these records and say he doesn't keep his eye on them, but he'll know exactly what our records are, what our targets are, what our benchmark is throughout the seasons. He'll know these goals are envisioned for Celtic, and I think every one of them individually and collectively Celtic can beat. My goal for this season is to go one step further than we did last year. I know under Rodgers, the trebles became a bit of it almost became something that the Celtic fans expected, but they're unbelievably hard. I mean, we've only ever done it under 3 managers, and that's 4 if you count Lennon, I suppose. And that's for a reason. They're very difficult to do. It only takes 1 match, and you've lost it. Ronnie Dyler will tell you the same thing. I mean, a goalkeeper beat him out of a treble, and I don't think it's unthinkable for any Celtic team, no matter how good they are, to have an off day. So that's my goal, is to win a treble this season. I think it's Ange's goal. I think if he's got aspirations to manage in Europe or England, I think he knows it takes more than a double at Celtic and some fancy football. I think he knows that if his next step in his footballing life, so to speak, is going to be up a notch, it's going to have to be of a wow factor job at Celtic. And winning a title at Celtic, I think it's almost become something that football fans throughout Europe expect. They expect to see Bayern Munich be the champions when I look at the German league. They expect Celtic to be top of the league. They expect a Man City or back in the day a Man U to be top of the league. It's just what they expect, and I think anybody looking at Ange's record would be very impressed with his football. But I think they'll look at things like trophies, how many he's won in a short space of time. They'll look at these wee records, then they'll get into his style of play. I think they'll look at his philosophy and think, okay, this man's definitely the man for me. But they'll want to see how he'll come up against a Rangers team in a powder keg environment. And I think that'll be a good motivator for Ange and his Celtic team, that if they have wee markers like that, that it pushes them onto that next level after they've won the league, when they can easily down tools and be forgiven. That gives them another wee goal to meet. And if these wee markers are there for Celtic and they're in touching distance with 3-4 games to go, I don't see why the Celtic couldn't do it. I think they're more than capable. The goals will go over the park. The defence looks great with Cameron Carter-Vickers holding it together. Aaron Moy creates so much. McGregor, it's just so many good things there, that all these goals and targets can be reached, James. And I really appreciate your question, mate, and thanks for sending it in. I think that's the last question. Thanks for watching episode 5 of Judgment Day. Leave your comments below. Any questions you want for next week, just post them in. Thanks to piesports.com for putting in the sponsorship. We really appreciated that, and I think the orders are coming in left, right and centre. Even by myself is coming tomorrow. Bhoycie's t-shirts have been released. If you buy one before Sunday, you get a discount. You get it for £40. Postage and packaging is entirely up to yourself. If you don't want to pay the postage, Bhoycie's volunteered to pay that for you. But if you want to pay it, you can do it. There's an option for that too. And this Christmas, we're expecting a draft version of Bhoycie's charity single, Bhoycie's Wish, and we're just doing some of that just now, and we're trying to get the finishing touches. So that's another wee bit of merchandise for you guys to look forward to. Thanks very much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks, guys. Hail, hail.